live, it's very, very important. We talk about the very, very important level we're coming at right now. $2.02. Obviously, the $2 level is a very significant level to watch, but $2.02, in my opinion, is this we're coming up? Are we coming up for a recovery? Is this a recovery or is there more danger ahead? And it's the one rejection, and I put it in the title very clearly that could lead us near $1.58. And there's one push up, but I didn't want to focus on the resistance break until we got to the live. There's one push up. We've got to get back over this area. We've got to get back over this little area. We've set ourselves up in a pretty interesting place right now. Is this turning into a daily hammer candle? Is this going to end up being a rejection candle? We're significantly oversold still in the daily, which is a great sign. 4 hourly, we've got plenty of room to keep pushing. If we could get, this has to be confirmed with volume. The only thing we're missing right now is some kind of volume coming in. So we're going to look to see if this is a rejection. This is why we always say, even if you miss let's just say you bought something and you're at a big loss and went down to $1.84. You never sell the initial drop. Because in technical terms, generally, because it's a trading algorithm, you come back up and either you retest that area or we end up getting the confirmation that we went down and grabbed that liquidity, and then we pull back up and we break that resistance, and now we're off to the races. So either way, it's always a detriment to sell on that extreme red candle. And it's something we try to preach in this community because it can save you a lot of money. It can save you a lot of money, especially if you get caught up in a very volatile swing. Think about even the October 10th historic liquidation. Did we not clear that entire candle? Basically, that it dropped? Well, we did. We actually came all the way pretty much back up. Not all the way to the top, but you recovered a significant amount on the way back up. But anyhow, let's get into the intro, and we'll sway this in a different way too, because we have to look at what the bigger players are doing. There's been like a 28-day streak where there's been more buys on XRP by the institutional side, by the bigger money. So that's definitely a factor here. A lot of liquidations happened. It was an extreme imbalance. So this pushback up is definitely necessary, whether it's extremely bullish, whether we're getting a rejection, but we talked about it last night in the live, if you were here, that Bitcoin right now is suggesting that we're bullish until this breaks down, and that big drop was actually just a back test of the breakout. And again, we'll talk about this. Anybody know what that pattern is this morning? If you do, put it down in the comments while I do the intro. Good morning. 11:41 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Monday, January 19th. 2026. I'm XRP future millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So, downtrending resistance, so lower highs, higher lows, and it appears we have ourselves some kind of a symmetrical triangle, assuming that this actually holds up. Obviously, it's not exactly right because of how it's set it. But, you have a nice little setup here. So as long as this is just back testing, we're actually bullish still. And we're going to come up to that. It's like 105K is the target. Somewhere between there and getting all the way up to the top. It would be, we talked about it, this circle. But we have some work to do, obviously, because we fell outside. And this is a perfect example of a descending triangle after a push up. So when we're looking at a wider pattern, the reason why it's so important for XRP is because we do have a wider setup. But again, just like Bitcoin, we're on top. And I measured this out yesterday for all of us. And I said, if we just connect it from here to here, this is a descent. It almost looks like a descending wedge. I guess you could say that. And then if you measure this, we're going to come up to those targets. I mean, I know it's designed to look very bearish right now, but honestly, with the way these are set up, sure, can we get a flush back out at some point? Of course we are. Of course we can, because of the way it pushed back up. We can retest. But as of right now, As of right now, it's not in the bearish state. It's not. Bitcoin showing the breakout. XRP showed a great recovery. Now, can it dump right back down and, retest some of the areas where it pushed up? It can. But from a standpoint of where we've pushed up and where we're breaking, or where we broke down and where we're pushing back up, this is the exact kind of thing you want to see for it to be more of a shakeout, grab liquidity, and start pushing back up. So, you know, but right, I mean, I'm honestly just across the board, I'm getting the same kind of reaction. It feels like, we came down for a very nice recovery, and like literally, look at all of this. We back tested all of these moves now, and back tested, hit the support. This is what it seems like it started to build here. So I mean, honestly, when we're looking at this for a drop like we had yesterday in the 4 hourly, we're looking beautiful. We're looking beautiful. We just got to get past this 11.4 area, and that's going to come up on us pretty quickly. If we can get past here, it's going to be interesting. I can tell you that much. It's going to be interesting. It is going to be very interesting. And this is across the board, so it's not just XRP, but this is where the volatility can fly fast, where a lot of people are sidelined and they get caught up in a very bearish moment. But remember, we're almost past this point now, but we've got to, don't get too excited yet. Don't grab the bull by the horn, so to say, until we can get over and prove that we can get past this area. Because right now, this would just be a retest of the death cross. So just please don't get caught up in the moment too quickly if you don't know what you're doing. So let this play a little bit. Let's see what happens. Be patient. And either way, we're probably going to have to come back down and retest some of this move, but don't get caught in the bull's horn, if there's a bear looming. So let's just see how this plays out. It's been a phenomenal recovery so far. Let's just see if we can make it past this next layer, or if this is because right now, if I sat on the drop, where would it have to retest? This is the exact area I talked about, 202. So this is where we've got to make sure that this is not just a back test and then, a break of structure. Because right now it's a break of structure until we get back over the top and hold it. And we have to approach it for what it is right now, because that's what the structure is. So I just got a notification from Google. Ripple lawsuit again. Lawyer speaks on possibly. Hey, I talked about this a couple days ago. Yes, there's been a proposal, and Ripple's case would be back in the forefront. It's true. But, let's see how that plays out. But just right now, in the market, you got to watch. This is the moment. We're going to decide if the market can overtake this, or if we come up to a rejection. Now, there is one factor that we have to keep paying attention to. It's the volume. After a significant drop like that, even with this pullback up, I don't see any volume right now. I want to see a candle spike. Like, it kind of sucks. Look how flat this volume is. Volume predicts price. So, unless this is going to be a volumeless push up, right now it's a prototypical back test from a drop point. So, let's just see what happens here. We don't have to be negative or positive. We can just be neutral, because we're in a neutral spot right now. So let's just see how this reacts. If we can break past here, retake this, and get a little bit of volume, we'll be in good shape. If we don't pull any volume in here, this would be a logical area where we might be running out of steam, and we might have achieved all we can achieve with this kind of volume portfolio. So let's just from a non-biased perspective, good or bad, let's try to keep our emotions at the door right now. Let's see, Ripple. Oh, for the pattern we were talking about, let's see, which one were we looking at? XRP. Wait a minute. Bitcoin. We were looking at Bitcoin's pattern. So we were talking about what is the breakout. So I encourage you to just do this. Sometimes we have lower highs, higher lows, forming triangle. There's different ways for you guys to think about it. And I know some already, and we already said it was a symmetrical triangle, but that's how you can look at it without knowing the name. Like, okay, I'm looking at the chart and I know here's a high, a lower high. We get into the area, breakout, back test. We have a low, higher low. Technically didn't even hit a third time, which is interesting because technically you want to start seeing 3 hits on each side. But then again, the 2 hits of support, third hit, break out. But that's why I'm still, I don't know. I still want to see this finish this move. I just want to see it finish the move and not get caught up here in some kind of weird downward momentum. So let's just see if we can overtake this area because we're at that point. So let's just see what's going to happen here. Defiant says, hey everyone, hit that like on the way in. Consider subscribing and joining Tom's Army for the best technical analysis on YouTube. Every day you are not in the Telegram, you are missing out. Why wait? I agree. I do agree. I humbly agree. Let's see what gold and silver is doing. Gold's up $77.73. Holy smokes. To 4,673. So that's definitely a narrative that'll be played into tomorrow. Because if these continue, miners are going to open up hot. And that means a lot of money is going to go into miners. Which would be very interesting for the crypto side. We've got silver up 4.59%. Now over 94 clean. This is a new all-time high. Yeah, we're in a new all-time high right now. If this continues, we have a short target of 101.26. And if we go to 101.26, man, those miners might end up getting a nice little parabolic push. And we know that the options expired on Friday. So now the miners aren't going to be restricted if we do have some kind of upward movement in the metal. So, you know, there's that. There's that. Oh, the classes, if you want to do the live classes, $49.99 a month if you want to support what I do. If not, completely understandable. But it'll be there whether you can attend it live or not. There'll be a form database that ends up pushing through. Although you'll be watching it on YouTube, I'm not going to be using YouTube itself, except to go live. You'll just be looking at my screen, but it's going to be used like through Zoom for me. So that it's a classroom setting, like I would do if I was teaching a class outside of YouTube. Not trying to overprice anybody. There's 2 classes a week, 8 classes a month. It'll be 8 hours of classroom time, and this will be going indefinitely. So, you know, it's not trying to break the bank. Some people suggested I should do $200 or $300 a month, but that's not affordable. And this isn't like an accredited university, so I don't need to do that kind of pricing. But I had a difficult decision to make, whether, because I would still do YouTube, but it would have been in a slightly different way because I got a couple job offers. One was as a market analyst, one was as a financial advisor, and one was as a technical advisor. It was like within the same office, but they had different openings. But there was this stupid agreement that I just couldn't get myself to do. Think about it. If you're pushing a bullish scenario, even though, you know, they want people to buy stuff, they're not going to want me to go out on my own personal page talking about how bearish a certain setting is. So I decided in 2026, I'm betting on myself, and we're going to expand the brand one way or the other. And part of the community that wants to support it, I'm forever grateful. For the ones who are just here every single day, I'm still grateful. Here's our moment. Here's the moment. This is the moment. See if we can get a volume spike here. Volume spike here would be huge. This should be where you're excited. This is the moment. Right here. This is the moment if you're watching. Are we going to break out? Can we break out? We need some volume. If we get some volume here, this could be nice. Come on, you son of a bitch. Give us a little bit of volume. Because now we finished this little cup we had here too on the bottom. But we could push up to the higher zone, which is 204. See if we get this push. Come on, baby. Juan, recogery would be a misspelling that it changed the word on me. So obviously it's recovery, but if you want to make a big point about it, thank you. Liquid before that drop doesn't necessarily mean is liquid after the drop. But for full confirmation, you still need more. But that drop was an opportunity. So liquid before, not necessarily the same after. But I don't really care the spelling. You know, it is what it is. If that's what drew you in because you're like, I just want to bust his balls over the spelling, that works for me too. I can use a few more grammar Nazis in here. But Juan, I'm just busting your balls. It's supposed to be recovery. But then again, is a recogery. Maybe it's a facade, you know. I don't know. But welcome in, Juan. I appreciate your sense of understanding, actually. Man, it's exciting. We're legitimately at that part. That was the XRP chart we were just looking at. We want to see if this breaks over this area because this is our moment. If we could get a volume spike here, because this is your resistance area that I was talking about in the video description and in my short this morning, that we'd come up here and we would see. And if we can get past here, we got about 204. But if we get rejected here, all we don't want to see is some strong red candles here. We just want to see, even if this does come back down and test a little bit, we want to see lowering volume in these smaller time frames or no volume at all and just push up. So, you know, like I said, it's nice. It's nice when we're seeing green when I'm doing these updates. So Bitcoin down 300 and what is it, 305. I know we have a liquidity zone at 98K, and to me, that's a nice reversal. I feel like we're going to try to push up here. Like everything is setting up for this push up. It feels like. Now, obviously, we could break down here, but it does feel like it's trying to give us at least the illusion here that it's going to try now. This could return way bearish. You know, it could, because we don't have volume here. So that's the one thing that is making me a little hesitant that this is just going to break out, because you want to see confirmation with volume if you're going to break through now what is acting as a resistance area. So it's going to be a battle here. It's certainly going to be a battle. This is no man's land if you're trying to just buy right here, because you could either be buying, you know, a potential breakout, or you could be buying the resistance area from just the dropout retest, and then, you know, we got to figure it out. But let's see. This is the interesting spot. Made a little S here. See the S? Anybody know what this means? I don't know if you guys can see it. I don't often get to show this. It's like an S. See that? So, a recovery after a significant drop that forms an S pattern, often characterized by a slow initial recovery, a period of rapid acceleration, and a final flattening out, is generally referred to as an S-shaped curve, logistic growth curve, or sigmoid curve. An economic economic and business context, this pattern represents a specific type of recovery trajectory, sometimes linked to the S-curve, blah, blah, blah. So slow initial recovery, it's the lag phase. After the initial drop, the recovery is slow or hesitant. This phase represents the beginning of the comeback, where it may face resistance, low confidence, or lack of momentum. Once the recovery gains momentum, it enters a phase of rapid growth, often driven by positive feedback such as improved confidence, blah, blah, blah. So now that you hear the little definitions, when price drops sharply and then recover, technical analysts look for a pattern V shape, U shape, blah, blah, blah. We don't care about the V shape. Why is it saying V shape? Nobody says V shape. You did say it was healthy to go down one more. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think if I show it like this, that's why it's hard though when you have different kind of patterns to try to just talk to Google unless you know what you're looking for. It's very hard sometimes because a lot of this doesn't. The S pattern often refer to the 3S, 3 swing, or 1, 2, 3 pattern of fractal formation signaling potential trend changes like a higher low followed by higher highs. More broadly, S can also describe the stair-step pattern, blah, blah, blah. Man, it's so hard to find this kind of stuff. It really is. When you're looking for this, it's so hard to try to find what you're looking for with certain patterns. I just want to see how it reacts to this area because this is a major resistance area. I wonder if AI would understand this. I wonder if AI would understand this. This S. Oh, that was Bitcoin, wasn't it? Whoops. Because it's an interesting pattern when you start to see it. And we'll see. We'll see. Oh, AI tells you wrong information all the time. Hey, Frankie Fresh, welcome in. And yeah, I definitely was talking about the drop down. It was healthy. It definitely was a healthy pull down. We just want to make sure that we can get past this area. Otherwise, you know, it could be a little trap, but we won't know until we see how we react right now. This will be the most exciting part of the day, hands down. And it's interesting because all the futures markets are closed. Well, as far as like being able to trade on the ETFs, but we've had a little bit of stuff that could be perceived as bearish news too for crypto. They came out and said today 24/7 trading market they're going to put through for the stock market. Now, again, with how unsure everybody is with regulations coming in crypto when it's supposed to be an unregulated market, which everybody seems to forget that. Big money likes this market unregulated. They don't want a regulated market. The banks do because that allows them to basically take over this market in a sense. But like when you're a big trader, you don't want the regulations. That hinders a lot of the stuff they do. So does that hurt us that the stock market's going to 24/7? If it does, but yeah, the AI, it is a mirror. It tries to. The one problem with AI is no matter how stupid it is, it'll always do that. Oh, you're absolutely right. I did mess this up. So it always gives you oh, you're right. It says, oh, you're damn right you messed up. It's kind of, so. But the most important part of this live is just knowing this spot right here is the spot. This is where we're either going to get some volume, we're going to get a rejection, or we can come up a little bit higher to 204 without the, but at some point we're going to have to figure this out. Well, let's just see how this reacts here. Just see how it reacts. Man, silver is just going bonkers. Jesus Lord. For the gold silver ratio, for everybody talking about it, I have a projection that I've had out for years where I thought it was going before any kind of push up by gold, you know, to retake it. But I thought 46.67, but I might have been off a little bit before it actually, because if we could just fly past her, that was the level where I thought if we broke past there, then maybe we could go all the way back to 15 to 1. But it had to break past these levels. So if we did reject on the 20-day here, and this is another breakdown, we very well might come down to like 41. This just continues. I know I have a farther, that was a short target, but if we do the higher target, it's a lot bigger. We just did it in the smaller version, because you can't start with the bigger one before you get through the smaller part. So the next area, if this just ran clean through and we didn't want to come back up, and we went unabated with silver, and it's outperforming 4 to 1, 3 to 1, it's technically supposed to come down to 33.9. I did the short target, but the longer target out of this breakdown, yeah, it's pretty interesting. This is pretty interesting when you actually start to pay attention to this, I will say. Whew. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Because silver's not showing any signs really of exhaustion. In fact, it's showing signs that it's still very, very formidable. Maybe we come back down here even and try to refigure this out. So that's big though. Big, because even though silver's going up and the ratio is going down, you still have gold up $77 today. It's not like gold's not moving. It's up 1.68%. Platinum's doing good too, up 2%. Platinum keeps going. That's the other thing. PLG's at a point now where it's attempting to break out of the symmetrical triangle, and that's a huge freaking target. Down the road, I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. I think that's a symmetrical triangle. Wait a minute. Yeah. Sometimes I confuse myself because I say so much at once and I'm like, wait a minute, what am I talking about? Which chart is this? What did you say, Tom? I just want to say thank you for always keeping it real and doing your very best for us. It's much appreciated in these uncertain times. Oh, I appreciate that. And give Janine my love as well. It was nice that she was on here last night as well. Hope you guys are doing good. What else? I'm trying to see if I missed anything. Why is my stuff going so slow? Oh, there we go. I want to know if there was any more news on here. I was trying to keep it on this chart for a second, though. I don't really see anything else. But like for PLG, I mean, on a symmetrical triangle, I mean, if this is holding, this is the start of its breakout. So got a nice inverse V-shaped recovery. It's going to depend if platinum goes or not. Ripple partnered with UC Berkeley to accelerate XRPL adoption. Ooh, that's interesting news, isn't it? Thank you for that, the Cannabis Podcast, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Elmer Fudd, thanks for your first month with the emoji badge and me being abducted by alien. And Mr. and Mrs. Stott, thanks for being in Tom's Army 3+ months with the XP Meteors. Appreciate that. Appreciate everybody's support. It means a lot. In the weekly, though, we could argue that maybe it is building some kind of hammer candle. So let's just see if we can hold some of this momentum. Pull up a little bit more. I mean, we see right here, we've got a red hammer candle technically forming here. If this just stays up here, obviously it would have to end the week up here, so you wouldn't have much volatility, which could drive it lower and back up, I suppose. But this is technically, it almost looks like we're forming some kind of hammer candle, maybe. So these are definitely, we have signs here that good can happen. If you're not in, I would wait for, a retest of this pushback up. Several areas it can do it. Or I'd wait for confirmation of a re-break. We don't know if XRP is going to go back to $1.80. If it goes back to $1.80, it's going farther than $1.80, unfortunately. So it's kind of a double-edged sword question there. If we don't successfully hold here, then we have to start talking about a triple bottom, potentially down here, back to $1.58. To avoid this scenario, we have to get over $2.25. FYI. That's basically, this is the all-time look now, because until it's not, XRP formed a descending triangle. In my opinion. Not everybody's going to agree with that assertion, but on this chart, I think it nailed it. Not all charts are going to look like this, though, I suppose. But that, that this big drop here, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that we've got to get outside of that. And if we do, we've got what is likely a pennant flag. So this could just be a distraction. This could just be a distraction. And I can start making the case a little bit stronger that we have a chance, because you have a shoulder, head, shoulder, and the weekly with that drop. Now, yes, do we have other things that are kind of annoyances here? Of course we do, but nothing's ever going to be easy on a chart. I mean, we're just starting to round in the daily and the stochastic. We're rounding the bottom at least. So I would still have that cautiously optimistic feeling, but just understand that we weren't meant to just go right through that 202, 203 area. Like, we hit that for a reason, and now we're trying to decide. It's doing exactly what it needs to do. Platinum hit 331 versus gold in 2008. 3.3 to 1 to gold. Wow. Incredible. And now what is it? It is gold's at 4,671. So it's about a 2 to 1 right now. Pretty close to a 2 to 1. And it's funny? A lot of times platinum's more expensive than gold, which is ironic that it's so much cheaper than gold right now. There was a time when platinum was always, you'd usually see it above gold just a little bit. You're wondering what happened to platinum? Is that what you're asking? Nothing. If you're asking about platinum, nothing happened to it. It's come up from $700. So it's done a good job. It's just, maybe it's just undervalued right now. So yeah, we could go back down, but I feel a little bit better that we went down there and did what we did yesterday, because we could see that clear out was building. But now we're building something here. Let's see if we can finish this off. See if we can finish this off, or if we have to just completely dump out. I don't feel as bad as I did yesterday now that that happened. Now at least we got to see it. Yes, do I still have concerns? Of course I do, because I want to see a little bit of volume, but we always talk about the fact that we can have volumeless push-ups. Oh, what happened to it in relation to gold? I think we're trying to go towards more of a monetary policy again that is gold backed. So gold had to kind of break away a little bit. The countries aren't buying a bunch of platinum. I think that's the underlining thing. A lot of countries are buying gold to get around the US dollar, especially because I think the world universally knows we're going back in some way to gold back, metal back kind of fundamental policy. So I think we get some separation. Barry Yoga, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad. Frankie Fresh, or Clam Bellies. No, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. That's the sentiment that gets us happy. We had that big drop. We pushed up so quickly. But we have to understand that now we came back up to this area like we're supposed to. And now it's our job to either, because I've seen this so many times, this candle where it looks so promising because there's no volume. It starts like this, and before you know it turns into a doji reversal. And that's what I don't want to see that, if we're looking for a further push up. We won't know that on these candles until we've got 2 hours and 44 minutes on the 4 hour. 3 hour, we've only got 44 minutes. 2 hour, we've got 44 minutes. So if it's going to start to pull back, you would start to see it pretty aggressively, either in this hourly, or we get an aggressive push up to try to invalidate that kind of a thesis. But either way, I want us to, we got to see what it does. And isn't it fascinating doing this together? Who's fascinated by this? Honestly, who's excited about these moments in time and being able to spend it here and talk about it? Mark Caston, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge, and also gifting a sub. Gifted a sub to Mock Chicken. Got the gifted sub. Congratulations, and welcome back into Tom's Army for your second month with the Dusty Dotto's Crypto News. Mark Caston, how awesome was that? Thank you so much for that. Amused Reindeer said, I read somewhere platinum only has 3 years below ground mineable stock. That's been floating around for a while. If there's any truth to that, I don't know how true it is or if it's just more fear. But if there's any truth to that, that's going to be a reason to watch platinum outperform gold over the next so many years. But we'll see if there's any truth to that. That doesn't mean gold's going to go down. It just means platinum's going to go at a faster clip. James McKerney, welcome. Says remarkable. Appreciate you. Ryan White says wankers. Yep. Pretty much. I know it's not you, Ryan White, but when I was in elementary, we had to watch a HIV/AIDS thing in the early 90s, and the guy's name was Ryan White. No joke. True story. And that's how they terrorized kids about the HIV and AIDS, was because of Ryan White. I just feel like if we were supposed to dump, really dump, dead, why haven't we yet with all this geo news? Oh, it's all part of the game, my friend. It's all part of the game. But we can have a real discussion here, my friend. We were just up here January 14th, so even with the recovery, we're down 7%. We were down as much as 15%. So let's just see if this is, because I could make a worst case for everybody that we haven't done yet, but we could do it. We could do it if you want. I've only shown you we try to stick this to where people don't bash their heads through the wall before they have to. So there was really no reason to do this before. But if you want to be frank here, What do you call that? Because you had support, support, and then if you take away the wick, because you go from support, support, it comes across support. What do you call this? If it was a flatter support, if you take away the wick. Like, I haven't gone down this road with everybody because I don't want everybody to jump off the cliff, but what is this? But what's that pattern if it was set up like that? we're just having a conversation here. We're just having a conversation. What is that pattern that I set up just now for everybody? Got a flat bottom. Whoops. Got a flat bottom. So yeah, basically, with the way you would identify this, because of how right here, support, you'd come across to that support. So you just keep leveling it across and see how it reacts as it goes farther through the pattern, because we wouldn't know, right? We wouldn't know. We would set it up here and say, okay, it bounced down, went up, bounced down. So then all of a sudden you have this meeting, a support, goes back up, bounces down, holds again, comes back down, comes through. Now it comes back up. What would that be? If we're being honest with ourselves, not for just being honest, we're not trying to pull any funny business. We're just being honest because of the urgency now, because of where we're at. I have to talk about it. What would that be? So you could do this, obviously. You could definitely do this. But if we're making it more interesting and we're not coming down and we're only using what was formed in the beginning and we're using that as a flat support, and we're getting rid of the fact that this wick came through and we have a support 1, support 2 in the same spot, support 3. So if we look at it like that, the other way would be a falling wedge or a descending wedge. But if we look at it as flat, support, lower, highs. And if this is foreign to you, consider joining the classes in February. This is where all of this will be much easier. But before we get here, we go through a lot of other things that play with the market. I didn't say false support, did I? I said flat support, even though I misspelled it. I know somebody said descending triangle. Yeah, Frankie Fresh. Descending triangle. So bearish chart pattern where sellers create progressively lower peaks, lower highs, while buyers defend a consistent price floor, flat support, signaling weakening demand and usually preceding a breakdown below support, confirming a downtrend continuation, though a rare bullish reversal is possible. So that's why we look at all the charts. But if this chart played out like this, I don't often talk about this. This is just another case and another way to see it. It's not for anybody to get scared, but look where this would bring us, right? It's not crazy. It's not crazy if that happened by any means. And then you'd have this, you'd have a retest, you'd have a come back down. Then what happens? If that happened, that's just one of the scenarios that now we have to talk about because of the way this is set up. It's over, guys. The sharks have entered the pond. We don't know that yet. But if this gets a rejection here, it's not good. That's why I keep saying we're literally in that spot today. If there was ever a day to get some volume to come in, today's the day. If you're a fan of XRP, if you're a fan of what's going on, hit that like button. 81 likes, 140 people. I believe this free information that I give every day in the lives deserves 100% of you to hit the like button. I know that's asking a lot, but I think I deserve 100%. This community deserves 100%, at least 95%. 60% doesn't get the job done. YouTube's not even going to support it. They want people liking it. If half my audience comes in and doesn't like it, what do they care? I had 1,500 views on the live yesterday. I got 140 likes. gonna be hard to push my content and get it out of the shadow ban state with those. I mean, I appreciate the numbers. I know, Tanya. I'm just being. I'm just. You ever hear the expression? I'm gonna play on the hearts. No, I'm kidding. But Tanya, welcome in love. I really appreciate you being here. Tom's armed for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. I just have I have high expectations of myself. That's all. So, I want the audience to have high expectations. There are a lot of new people here, though. It's true. Do you guys think it helped the fact that I changed my image? I don't know. Especially, I think the YouTube profile change definitely helped. Think it grew intrigue, or do you think it was the fact that people started watching and then the market actually dropped like that? And now they want to know what's going to happen next? Buckle up, everybody. Buckle up. Dennis Daly, I'm joining your army payday. I appreciate your content. Holy crap. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. Cannabis podcast, I think so. Elmer said, just started seeing commercials on your videos. I'd say it's about time. You have to generate more money. No, I've always had commercials on them. It's just after the live itself, I started to, I turn it on after the live. So, you don't see it during the live itself. That's another reason to come into the lives while they're actually going on. I'm fascinated where we're at right now. Just fascinated. From a technical perspective, this is exciting as hell. And that crescendo moment is right around, we're almost there. I know 202 is the immediate, but if we're looking at this kind of objectively, let's see where we could technically put this. Because we already have it drawn out if it's a descending wedge. So we're just talking here because we've already got it set up for the other scenario. Where's this at? Well, that's the wider pattern. I thought we had this drawn out for the wedge purpose. Yeah, right here. See, we've already got this scenario covered in this sense. So I'm not too worried. Yeah, I'm not too worried because we've got it covered in this chart just in case. Because that, I mean, when you look at it like this too, I mean, I could see it. I can see that. I can see that. I just want to make sure we don't get caught up in the other ruckusy part that most people wouldn't look at because that's like the only thing that could stop us is the way this part is set up and the way we fell out, you know, kind of thing. And I don't even know why. Oh yeah, because we did it like this. So, I mean, this is all nice. See, so we've got different perspectives. Some look very bullish, but if we try to do it from a different perspective, some could be telling us maybe we're flipping to resistance. But all this is a moot point if we get over this area. That's the point. We get over this area, and now all of a sudden we're on the top side and we're sitting at 208. Oh, now we're talking. We are cooking. Bennett, is the bull run done? The better question is the bear market over? Bull run's been done since January, friend. Yeah, we came back up and topped again in like April, but we started the official bear market, the setup in January. We signified it in April, and we've been in a bear market since. Everything's been turning down. So it's not that the bull run's over. You have to ask yourself, did the bear market end? Because the bull market technically hasn't started yet. It's a different cycle. That's why it's either we're in a super cycle where this can extend, or we're starting to see signs of breakdown. I would like to prefer that it's a super cycle, but again, we're on the wrong side of town right now. I don't care what the other charts show. We've got to get over this area, and then I'll be happy. It's not by accident that it stopped right here in this zone. It's not. This is what had to happen. So we're getting the ultimate showdown right now, and we just have front row seats. Right? We just have front row seats. That's all. Let's see. You could say the same about silver just starting. Absolutely. The only difference is silver's been on a decisive uptrend, while crypto's been on a decisive downtrend. So when you have downtrending moments, and then all of a sudden you have a little push up without volume, you technically stick with the trend. That's why we were out ahead of that last drop. If you have uptrending moments, or you're in an uptrend and you have a retracement, and the volume it cuts down on the retracement, but it stays high on the push-ups, you have a continuation. And we could be in that scenario right now. Bennett, no, great question. No, we had a bull run for XRP, but it was much like XRP does. In technical terms, the bull run was technically from November to January, but it extended out to about April-ish when it made that double top or a slightly higher one. So it's not about do you buy here, it's about do you have the proper confirmation to enter the market right now. So now it goes back to the theory. I believe timing the market is better than time in market, because timing the market properly will allow you time in the market. For instance, if you buy here without confirmation and it goes up, you're beautiful. But if right now is a rejection and you buy at 201.70, let's say, it even goes up to 204 and we get rejected somewhere between here and there, and then it ends up coming down, even if it's going to continue up, what are you going to do if you buy at 201.50 and it goes to 204, you're happy, but then all of a sudden it drops and retests like a 50% move back down from the move up? So if we went from a swing drop at 204, let's say, down to a swing low at $1.84, extend back out to 201, 204, what would the median point be to back test? Are you looking at a back test of just $1.98 because we go to 204? Like, these are all inconsistencies we can't possibly know until we see how we take this out. So I've thought about doing some merchandise, Jay Blaze. I've thought about it. Believe me. I have. I've thought about it. Um, but yeah, no. I think some people would be very supportive, knowing the struggle with my son and just the fact what happened to Julie. And well, you guys, if you're part of the audience, if you don't, my son, when he was 6 months old, he got into a car accident, broke his femur, had head trauma. Julie's had 7 surgeries. Her ankle is completely destroyed. She had her ankle bone taken out basically, and they regrafted it with other bones in her body and with the cadaver bone. Um, so she's never going to be able to technically work again, and she had a great job. And he's autistic, he's nonverbal, he's got other psychological issues from the accident. He's got a G tube. So basically, I'll be working for him for the next 25 years as well. So it was either I was going to get a second job because I wanted to do it now. That's why I was intrigued with those analyst positions. And then I'm like, you know what? I've already built a brand here. I could expand the brand. And then the ones who are willing to go roll with what I'm doing, you've seen my consistency. I've been doing this for anybody who's new. I started this March 24th of 2021, and I've never missed a day. And my son spent several weeks in the hospital in 24, which was a nightmare, but we still did this. Anyhow, what's RECOGERY? It's a misspelling, but a RECOGERY, the danger ahead of RECOGERY. So the RECOGERY would be let's see, it's a fugazi. It's a fugazi. So instead of saying recovery, we say RECOGERY because that's a fugazi, which is a fake recovery. How about that? No, it's a misspelling, but I think that makes it sound better. That's the funny part. Before the accident, my son, we have videos of him where he was trying to speak already, and he was only 6 months old, and he was eating out of a spoon. He would eat food from a spoon, and he would do it himself. So he was ahead of the curve. Like he was ahead on the when they did testing on him, he was ahead before the accident. Um, but after, yeah, there was a clear and decidingly noticeable difference. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love how he is now. Just going to take a lot of work. I know a little bit about Canton Network because of the audience. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure yet. I need to know more. I need to know more. I need to know more. But yeah, we don't really know if he would have been nonverbal because he was only 6 months old, but he was already making starting to form different things before, at a very young age. So he was outperforming back then. But I think he outperforms with the way he is now. So, it's a blessing. He's a blessing. I wouldn't change anything. Not a thing. Um, Bennett, thank you for the prayers. Yeah, this community is a very spiritual one. As we always ask for guidance from Yahweh, Yeshua, Emmanuel, Jesus Christ, for the ones in the United States. Um, we ask for the higher consideration from God Himself because we do have more than one person who preaches our Lord and Savior, who speaks the name of God. So God becomes present, and we know we need God's presence because we have Bearded Viking in here. He's not here today, I don't think. But his son, Mighty Marcus, and Mighty Marcus, if you're watching, we continue to pray for your good fight. He's fighting the sea. I'm sure you can, and it's a long process, and we pray for him so much. We do, Almer. We do. Um, Absolutely. I agree, Almer. I agree. Are you familiar with Jackson Lewis and his latest research on XRP as a YouTube channel? It's quite interesting. No, I'm not actually. Let me type that in. I don't think I've ever heard that name. Jackson Lewis. I'm assuming this is the right person. Let's see.
Hello. Oops. Have you ever been right?
I don't want to screw over his channel because that's his content. You can go over there and watch it. 158,000 people. Yeah, it looks like he's been around for a little while. I'll have to go over his stuff. I don't know anything about him, so I can't, What do I think of H bar, algo, and SE Sue? I mean, I think I like H bar and I like algo. I don't hate Sue. I mean, it's popular amongst like the what's the best way to put it? The richer people. Sue, for whatever reason, amongst venture capitalists and others, they seem to like to pour money into it. So I'm not as well versed in it. I mean, I know about it, but I have a very defined strategy. It's the triple X Haas strategy. And it's just XRP, XLM, XDC, H bar, and algo. When you feel it's at the proper time or you feel like you want to take that shot, those are the ones that I personally focus mostly on. I do know a lot about a bunch of different tokens as well. But yeah, the triple X Ha is my thing. But yeah, I don't know. Julie's been trying to push me to do a little bit of merchandise too, and a hat saying triple X Ha would be cool. There's a few things that I could do. I'm a very creative person. I'm sure people in this audience would help me create stuff too if I asked for help. Like if you guys have ideas, I would love it. So, but I'm realistic. I can see what's happening. I can see my son's future. I can see our future and what has to be done. And now that my audience is growing and we have a deeper connection, I could technically do merchandise. This would be the right time to do it. Frankie, enjoy the rest of the day at work. And be safe, my friend. I'm glad you were able to spend some time here with us this morning. Well, I mean, I can't argue with you for making that rotation because the odds are obviously we broke down here, which is, remember what I always say about a symmetrical triangle? They're neutral continuation patterns. So just because something feels bullish because it came up in the up direction, remember what the trend was. The trend was down. And that's why we were suspicious about this just playing out. Now, What I will say now, if you start to pair or project with some of these, could we start to say maybe over time it started to form something like that? And then when you start to come up, I mean, this is something that I'm interested in. Like, could you say over time, well, we came up here, bounce down. Now, do we get a rejection and come down? And then it forces us into like a descending triangle, which scares the hell out of me again? Or does it bounce through and then we can come up and maybe it was more like a weird, wide, extended, overzealous? I don't know. But I could definitely see us trying to form a descending triangle here now if this doesn't play out properly. And that, again, doesn't make me feel good because that's what XRP did. It formed that descending triangle. And right now, one could argue that we're one rejection away from this turning into a very different setup here. Can we agree with that? And the interesting thing for me, why this gets even more interesting, is where that rejection would end up. Look exactly where this would end up. Look where this rejection would end up. It's like sometimes you make things up and sometimes you just can't make it up. And actually, you'd probably go like this because you'd have to cut out the wick if you're trying. Oh, no. I don't even necessarily think you would have to cut out the wick. It would probably make more sense so you don't drag it so far. But when I look at something like this, if we did get a rejection up here, which is not that far away, if we continued, like, that's if we continue. So we're just trying to project here, like, hey, are we actually building something like this? Because if we are, you know, that's why I keep saying, let's not get too excited yet. We didn't get any volume on this push up. And often volume precipitates either a big breakout or the lack of volume will precipitate a violent rejection. It's not always the case, but look at XDC. It gave back all those gains all of a sudden here. Again. And this is just an example of what's happening. There was no volume on the push up. It came all the way up to 426. And again, is XDC showing us the way. Volume predicts price, folks. I can only say it so many times. And that volume without volume causes problems. So we need volume like we've never needed it before. Yes, I know about XCN, my friend Bennett. I know there's speculation. I mean, we watched the chart a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago, but before that big breakout in 24 or 25. But there's speculation that community is all a pump and dump. But there's also speculation that there's deeper ties in with possibly JP Morgan or with, there's so many different speculations that it's hard to decipher real from fake. But JB Blaze says people that do merch are usually cheesy, but it's for such a good cause, and you are so trustworthy. I think it would take. That's the other side of it. You know, I agree that it's usually cheesy. But I could definitely see. I know I'm building something better in 26. It's only been 19 days, but I finally took off some of the things that I wouldn't talk about or express what was going on or just some of the side thinkings. And now I don't mind it now. I'm just being more honest. I've always been honest, but I'm being way more open with what's going on. And like I've always said, I would rather bet on myself than have paid sponsorships and all that. So if this can go in a way that is appropriate, and I'm not saying I would never have somebody. The bottom line is I want somebody to sponsor this show, but I've rejected so many people because it doesn't fit. But if there was somebody who actually wanted to sponsor this show, not because of a product being sold, but somebody who legitimately wanted their logo, their name, or whatever on my channel, you know, from, hey, we're doing this live and X, Y, and Z is the sponsor of this. And that's it. It's something simple. It's not, and then it's got, you see it all over my channel. That's what I want. I want somebody to believe in this channel and actually fund it, you know, but that's so hard to do because everybody wants a little something. And the little something would be if I can get this and it's getting bigger would be the advertising of, hey, you've got 50,000 people that see this. But, you know, there's a lot of weird stuff in this environment. The 15-minute is fighting. We've got 1 minute and 13 seconds. Not horrible, but we're showing signs of exhaustion right now because there's not a lot of volume. It always comes down to the volume for me. The volume is such a key indicator that we can exhaust and we're, man. Thanks, Thomas. Stop if it drops. You should look at Redbubble to sell t-shirts. Think artists can help you make a design a shirt. Hey, that's a good suggestion. I don't know what that is. This is good. I need suggestions like this. I need help with that. See, what was that again? Rubble. I just want to put it in here so I can look at this after. Oh, Redbubble. Redbubble. Oh, how cool is that? So can you do this on so I could technically make my stuff here? Designed by independent artists, sell your art, t-shirt, wall art, sticker, about oh shit. Cause preferably, we would have it set up to where it wouldn't have to be on YouTube, so that YouTube doesn't get to mark up the pricing. I would do it on like if I could find a third party thing to do it on so that the pricing wouldn't be so high. That would be the preferable choice. It wouldn't be a YouTube store, so to say. But anyhow, enough of that. I appreciate all of the feedback. Honestly, I do. MQT, thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat, and also being a very trusted mod in here in the Telegram and the XRP Meteor, 3+ months into the Tom's Army. And then under that, he said, stay cool and patient. And look at that emoji. Staying cool indeed. Sunglasses pulling down. That's awesome. Cool t-shirt site. Bought a Beatles cartoon shirt made by an artist. Oh, how cool is that? Nice. I like the feedback. I like the feedback this morning. It's already been an hour and 7 minutes. Holy shit. These lives just, I don't know about you guys, but these lives have been flying lately. Like, I mean flying. It's crazy. It hasn't been flying as fast as silver has, but Jesus Lord. I don't know how this is going to play out into tomorrow because obviously the miners are closed today. So, this was a perfect opportunity for these markets to move without having to worry about the miners, but this price action, everything about it is showing that potential. I mean, this has got to be some of the craziest price movement I've seen in a long time. I mean, I preached in the silver stacker videos years ago about buying silver over gold because the ratio was approaching 100 and something. And that ever slight movement right here was everything, guys. Everything. And I don't know how many. Oh, man, it's so fucking crazy how close this was. Oh, that is such a beautiful finish to this. I can't even explain this, but I can. Look at this, created more of a symmetrical with this little uptrend. Had this have been slightly down here to like 86.49, we would have created a likely descending triangle. It was that close. We were that close. This slight uptrend allowed this to be a neutral continuation pattern because the trend was up, you break up, typically. Oh my God, was that close? That was epically close. The technical target out of here gets you to, so the first target's going to be about 98.77 out of this short consolidation. The longer one gets you up near 101. Silver closed above 103 in Shanghai. Are you kidding me? Oh boy. Times 10. That is a excellent question. I don't know. That's why I keep saying maybe this is just going to be a voluminous push up. And it's not going to be like a traditional push. They're just going to kind of shut off the sells. But we have to get over certain areas for that to even be a possibility. And thanks for being in Tom's 6+ months with the XP predictor, but I honestly don't know. Because with this 24/7 trading market, if the stock market does do this, and it's being proposed like in the short term now, they want to do this. That's going to drive some liquid. Think about it. Most people the only reason I ever came into crypto, besides wanting to buy XRP, was because I was intrigued by the fact that it never closed. That's what got me to look deeper. So if you're going to tell me now we have to deal with regulations with crypto, even though it's supposed to be unregulated, which was another reason I wanted to trade crypto. I liked the fact it wasn't overreached because I had some bad experiences with halting and them doing stupid shit in the stock market because of regulations, that I wanted to trade in an unregulated market, and it was great for a while. But now we're turning into a even more regulated market than the stock market. They created ETFs, so now you don't even have to trade in crypto. And now they're turning it conveniently to 24/7. Don't you think that might just be to trade the veracity or the velocity or the veracity or the wild swings in real time in the stock market? You don't even need to trade crypto now. That's not good. Like I keep talking about, that Clarity Act is actually not good. What keeps the stock market closing? It's just they have a set. They do a 9 to, well, basically it's like 9:30 to 4 is traditional trading hours. That's just how they have it set. It's like in a business, what makes a business close instead of being over 24 hours a day. They just have a set. That's just what they decided, you know? So it's just, that's the rules right now. It's because they have to agree to allow it to be. So there is regulations that say that there has to be a cooling off period. There's different things that happen. I'm sure there's money that changes hands that we don't see about over that 48-hour closure during the weekend. You have after hours where the big fish, if they have the right platforms and the right connections, can trade when the little guy really doesn't know how. So they're going to fight a little bit. But it doesn't make crypto obsolete. But if you're waiting for a regulated market that's unregulated, and you've already got a regulated market and you didn't know anything better, I mean, it does. Oh, I'm not going to act like it doesn't, Martin. It absolutely has something to do with the traditional banking transactions because of the fact they do the repo and the reverse repo. And a lot of these companies or a lot of these banks have money tied into the stock market. So if you have it running through the weekend, now you have another risk of volatility. As you know, they're giving the money back to the government to get some interest over the weekend. So yeah, it definitely plays. You're absolutely right about that. Yeah, that's the other thing, guys. Like, look at this. Like MQ said, and we talk about this all the time. How is it possible that just yesterday, let's just say, how is it possible that at the exact same time, just think about this, that every single token with every single buyer, with every single kind of retail investor, and every instant, how is it possible that every single thing at the exact same hour candle, it's the thing is, besides XDC, because it's a little off, but isn't it amazing that every single one in the same exact hourly candle did the exact same fucking, excuse my language, thing at the exact time, at the exact, you you have a better chance. I have a better chance right now of somebody figuring out a way to teleport a 10-ounce bar of gold through my computer screen or through my tablet onto my desk. There's a better chance of that happening than all of this by chance in the exact same moment. Like, it's the exact fucking, it's the exact thing. I don't want to yell at you. I want to yell with you. The exact thing. It's impossible. This is a statistically impossible thing to happen unless it's planned. Now, why would they plan this? Well, we know Bitcoin has liquidity at 88K. We know it has it at 98K. We know that there was a big imbalance yesterday of short and long traders. Well, if you want to see what actually happened, I encourage you to join my my Facebook channel. We went over 8,000 followers now. Look at that. We're gaining followers like there's no tomorrow. Picked up over 500 followers in the last 3 days on Facebook. I did pretty good yesterday on YouTube. I got 21 new followers. But I can pull better. I pull better weight on here. So maybe so this is what I want you guys to realize. So there was an 8,700% imbalance. The move we just saw on the 4-hour chart wasn't just market noise. It was a massive long squeeze. We always talk about short squeezes, but what about a long squeeze? In just 12 hours, long liquidated $523,000 in XRP. Shorts only liquidated $6,000. $8,700 imbalance, and that's considered, I guess you could call it the waterfall effect, for lack of a better term. The bulls tried to hold the $2 to $2.05 line, but once it snapped, 4 sell orders cascaded, creating that long wick down to $1.85. The bottom line, until we close a 4-hour candle back above $2.02, the bias is bearish. Keep a close eye on the $1.80 to $1.83 zone for the next test. Are you buying this dip or waiting for the $1.80? Let me know. Not a lot of people were happy about this. Not a lot of people cared about that content. You know which ones they care about? Ready? It's ones like this. Where's the fear ones? The fear ones, like literally, can we just have a little fun here? I literally wrote this, and this thing has like 20,000 views now. I put the blue tie signal, and this is something I cannot do on YouTube. I can't have fun like this. People would out me and be like, this isn't what you do. I said, Larry Fink is giving us the green light. This is almost like my Kryptonic crypto. Remember my Kryptonic cryptocurrency? Brad Garlinghouse was abducted by aliens and he was forced to hand over XRP and they traded him with Kryptonic currency and people started sending me $1 to my PayPal. Remember that back in the day? It's kind of like that. So I said, the blue tie signal has been confirmed. Larry Fink is giving us the green light. If you aren't paying attention to what happened at the gala last night, you're about to be left behind in the old financial system. While the experts are talking about inflation, BlackRock just sent the ultimate coded message to the XRP community. This is what people like. This is what people like in our community. Larry Fink walked out wearing the exact shade of Ripple Blue on his tie. Why? This is the big one. The hand signal. Look at the photos. He's holding his glass with 3 fingers. XRP. It's not a coincidence. It's a digital handshake to the XRP ledger. The $14 trillion flip. BlackRock doesn't move slow. Word on the street is the liquidity trap is officially set. They want you to sell your expensive $2 XRP so they can tokenize the entire world's real. So that's the kind of stuff that would make me viral on YouTube. If I posted stuff like that, I'd get 50,000 views a video. 100,000. I mean, that's the kind of stuff people want. You're telling a story. You're getting away from the charts. Have you guys ever heard of a thing of chart fatigue? The number one reason people don't watch you on social media is they have chart fatigue. I want chart fatigue. I would trade views every day and twice on Sunday so we can stay out of the charts. Because it's something sustainable. I think this is all sustainable what we're building here. It's different. People don't come here. They come here for entertainment, but they come here for the truth. But I mean, could you imagine if I came on here and this was? I often thought about creating a separate YouTube channel and just doing the satire like that, satire, not showing who I am, but just having a side channel to see how that channel would grow. I really want to do it just as a case study, and with AI, I think I could do it a little bit simpler. But I think it would be a pretty interesting thing to see if I played into the satire. How a station would do compare. I already know it would do better. You kidding me? With this community, we love it. But we need to, someone's got to be the voice of reason, though. That's the problem. Elmer says you should, but you have to let us know. If I did, I would in a roundabout way let you know, but would I really want to have the influence of this audience to grow that channel? That's the other thing. Or do I want it to be, well, I guess you can use the influence of who you are. Obviously, but it almost feels like it needs to be a different dynamic. I don't know. It's something I've often thought about purely as a case study, of course. And we're fighting we're fighting right now, guys, and the lack of volume and stochastic is telling us we might have moved all we can in the short term with, well, maybe a little burst here we could have. Because we are technically still on top of here, the 200. But this is an interesting candle developing, especially if, well, it did this push up a little bit, didn't it? Because now we're getting to the top. Let's see if we can close a 15-minute candle over, well, we're still not even over 202. How long until the 4-hour candle closes? Because I do have to go. Because, you know, it's middle of the day. My son's home. He doesn't have school today. Got 2 hours left, so it's going to be an interesting 2 hours here. I thank everybody for tuning in with me this morning. It's been fantastic. Tom secretly the AI Asian silver guy. Now that would be funny. Yep. Nick, that's what I talked about starting. Did we create a hammer candle? And then I showed it. That's the first thing I showed everybody in this live. You are very perceptive. Love it. That's why I love these guys. Furby Trades, MQ, Mr. and Mrs. Stott, Elmer. Everybody who's in here this morning has been very helpful. But definitely a daily hammer right now if this holds. That's why I don't expect a lot of movement today. We might come back down and validate the $1.98 throughout this candle. But we really want to start, in my opinion, Nick, if this is a daily hammer, let's close over $2.02 at minimum. Agreed? Just get over 202 and close. I'm not asking for much. For God's sake, we're at 201.66. But you are dead on, Nick. You are dead on. And very trusted mod in here on the Telegram and in Tom's Arm for the second month with the Dust Shadows Crypto News. In a roundabout way, I kind of did create the satire thing on Facebook, didn't I? So if you want to go look at all of that stuff, make sure you watch Facebook. And the other thing that, it's not just the satire on Facebook. I'm actually, this channel, now that I'm not restricted, it's growing really rapidly. I wouldn't be surprised if this overtakes my YouTube channel. You know, in the next year, we'll see what ends up happening. But it's amazing because when I look at this, my reels, watch some of the views. Yesterday's 1,300, that had 2,500. Then you start going through and you're like, well, that has 6,000, that has 10,000 just on the reels. So it helps it get around. And then you got 1,500, but 10,000 there. You know, so some of the reels, I don't have no 10,000. Well, I do have some. But like yesterday, 3,500 views. So YouTube actually in the same breath, the same token. You know, my views on YouTube actually, for whatever reason, you know, they went up too. So it's, I think there's got to be a connection with the change I did on my channel. I honestly think there's got to be a connection. Because the short yesterday had 3,300 views. I was used to getting 1,000, 1,300. But that was a definite change in the last 2 days. The lives even yesterday did much better than they've been doing when I do 2 in 1 day. I did a 2-hour live and it had over 1,300 views. And then the other one last night had over 100. I often wonder too, if it's the change in my art. Like just changing the art, I wonder if it played a factor. Because once I started switching to a artwork that makes sense, like I'm more intrigued to click on this the last 3 days when I look at it. I don't know, and I need my audience's opinion because I feel that when I looked at it the last 3 days, like that's good. That makes sense for what we're trying to do. Everything else, it's good, but it's a generic style photo, and some of it's dark, some of it, you know, so there's a direction we're taking in the new year. And then I guess I should go out with this about the classes. Define keeps kind of put it off here, but if you're interested, the best I can tell you is this. You know, I have a lot of stuff that I like to do. I have a lot of stuff that we try to do. But there's some things that I have enough time to go over from the very basics and on. And that's the good thing. See more people. I think there's 15 people signed up, which is great. That's more than enough. I was just hoping for at least 5. We've doubled that. So I'm happy about that. But if you want to go through more than just the technicals, if you want to go through everything and then still hear my plea, See, most people just watch the charts, and obviously we are XRP Future Millionaire. We, all of us, because we're trying to become that. But it's a big plan. Most people just watch charts. I teach you how to read them. Whether you're here for XRP or looking to dominate other markets, you found the right home for strategy and growth. And this will stay the same. I do daily live analysis. I've been doing this since March 24th of 2021, and I come here every single day, and that's not going to change. The amount of content stays the same. It's like I started a second job, remember. So I go live every single day to provide free technical analysis and real-time charting. I don't just give you the what. I show you the how so you can stay ahead of the volatility. Watch and subscribe. Obviously, my regular YouTube channel. And then the live mastery classes starting February, and it's February 2nd because that's the Monday. $49.99 a month. Are you ready to stop guessing? Join my exclusive classes for total market mastery. I teach the strategies, indicators, and investor psychology needed to trade any market, any chart, anywhere. And then if you want to go to the wild side and get some satire and things like that, go down to my Facebook channel. It's the unfiltered side, the conspiracy, satire, far-fetched, what-if theories, blah, 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 all of that. And then just to show you a landscape, phase 1 is foundations of value, the why before looking at a chart. The student must understand the nature of the game they are playing. Then you go through 3 modules before we ever get into the third phase, which would be technical analysis. So there's a lot to go through. You have the what is money, the store of value versus medium of exchange, the fiat versus hard assets. You got the concept of inflation and cost of sitting still. You've got the purpose of investing, wealth preservation versus wealth. And then if you stay long enough and you can make it long enough, and it's going to take a long time, we're going to eventually get into module 11, which is what I'm waiting for, the advanced price action, which would be the Fibonacci, the Elliott wave, the Wyckoff, institutional flow, smart money, and all that good stuff. But it takes a lot to get there. So if you're ready to level up your what you're doing and you want to not feel like you don't understand, or maybe you're trying to watch but you still need deeper learning, please, I encourage you. Not only is it to support me, but it's also for a great cause. So with that being said, have a blessed day. I appreciate all of you. It's been a